Every year we recall that haunting passage of Torah that we read just earlier. We sit uncomfortably and we listen to Abraham binding the son he loves at God's command and offer him as a sacrifice. On this day of celebration and hope, we are forced to turn our attention to this difficult part of our history. And why can't we just read something happy, something joyous? Why mar this day of renewal with such a macabre story? Certainly when my pastor friends hear that this is what we read on our New Year, they look perplexed. Today, instead of asking the annual question, what can we learn from Abraham in this difficult story? Let's ask, what can we learn from Isaac? The Akedah is only one chapter of Isaac's life. Let's review some other facts that we know about Isaac from Torah. Isaac was born to elderly parents. Isaac's name means laughter. Thank you, someone in the bar mitzvah row in the back. His older brother Ishmael laughed at and teased Isaac. He was brought to Mount Moriah to be sacrificed when he was already grown. Yet in this story we heard many times as he was referred to boy, Na'ar. Do not harm the boy. Abraham's servant Eliezer was sent to pick a wife for Isaac. Isaac was comforted by Rebekah as she resembled his mother Sarah. Isaac favored his son Esau, the simpler of his sons, who had more physical prowess than intelligence. Isaac was duped by Rebekah and Jacob into giving his blessing, his birthright, to Jacob instead of Esau. Abriut. You sneeze on the truth, you know. Isaac was selfless in his interactions. The Torah refers to Isaac's eyesight as dimmed in later life. And the stories that involve Isaac are almost never from Isaac's perspective. Many of these facts point to the idea that Isaac might have been handicapped in some way. Isaac, the second of our patriarchs, the very first-born Jew, is portrayed as an easily swayed and manipulated character, certainly not like his strong father, Abraham. It's also interesting to note that of our three patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Isaac is the only one that doesn't have his name changed. In Torah, when someone experiences a name change, it's because he or she has gone through some sort of transformation. Avram and Sarai, for having believed in the one God of heaven and earth, each receive a letter He from God's name, spelled Yud He, Vav He, to become Avraham and Sarah. Yaakov, who learns to overcome his deceitful ways and battles his demons in his dreams, becomes Yisrael, or God struggler, from whom we are all descendants. But Isaac, whose name means he laughs, never has his name changed. After being circumcised as a baby, even after agreeing to be bound upon the altar as a sacrifice, certainly a life-changing moment, Isaac is not recognized in having changed in any way. He remains exactly the same as before they approached Mount Moriah. In fact, the stories that involve Isaac are almost never from his perspective. He's frequently the object of the narrative, not the subject. And ultimately, this begs the question, could Isaac be one of our special children? Could he represent the simple, selfless, happy, all-loving, all-forgiving among the ranks of humanity who are mentally or emotionally handicapped? This is not an original conjecture, as many scholars have posed the theory that Isaac was mentally challenged. But on this holy day, it is surprising how quickly we gloss over Isaac and turn our attention and our empathy to Avraham and how God tests him. But what can we learn from Isaac? We learn independence from Avraham, We learn about dealing with our imperfections from Jacob, but what do we take from Isaac? As we said before, Isaac's name means laughter, after Sarah's response to being told she would have a child at the age of 90. Isaac, I'm half that. And it's, Isaac inherited his parents' joyous laughter at his birth. So one of the things we learn from Isaac is the importance of laughter. Medical journals have documented that there are a number of physical, mental, and social benefits to laughter, including improved immunity, lower stress, decreased pain, relaxation, heart disease prevention, ease of anxiety, enhanced resilience, attracting others, enhancing teamwork, diffusing conflict, and promoting group bonding. Today, there's even a method of yoga emerging called laughter yoga. No coincidences. There is a midrash about Isaac arguing with his older brother Ishmael over who was more loyal to God. Ishmael states that because he was 13 at the age of circumcision, men, now here's your chance. He could have protested the ritual and didn't. Whereas Isaac was only 8 days old and capable of knowing what was happening. Therefore, when Ishmael stated that he was more loyal to God, Isaac vehemently disagreed, said that he would give his whole life for God if God asked. And at that moment, that is when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. And it said that during the almost sacrifice, Isaac was the one who saw the Shekhinah, the Spirit of God. Now we learn in the book of Exodus that you can't see the image of God and live. Yet Isaac does, although his vision becomes forever dimmed. From this we learn the power of authority. Those who are loyal to us need us to lead them in the right direction with kindness and with mercy. Our special children rely on our good judgment and on our insight to see what they cannot see or understand. When Abraham's servant Eliezer was sent to find a suitable wife for Isaac, he ultimately chooses Rebekah, who not only offers Eliezer water, but also enough water for his camels, requiring many, many trips to the well. Rebekah was kind, a trait that Isaac would be in need of as he mourned the loss of his mother Sarah. From this, we learn the importance of compassion. Our special children not only need our compassion, but they will model it back to us, sometimes magnified 1,000 times. I was struck last year on Kol Nidre, standing in this very place. As I looked up to the balcony, one of our special kids, Joe Glusky, sitting right up there right now, stood with his talit around the shoulders of the stranger next to him as we sang a shamnu, our communal confession. Little did he know that the woman standing next to him was this church's pastor, our guest both physically and spiritually. What an impact that gesture must have made on her. Only one who has been molded by compassion and kindness would know to do that selflessly and generously. Would we all have done that? Or would our inhibitions keep us from reaching out? I enjoyed talking to Matthew Poeski. He's always eager to share with me his triumphs and his challenges in school or with friends. One Shabbat, I promised Matthew ahead of time that we could sit down during Oneg Shabbat and talk. He had my undivided attention for quite some time, and then he interrupted himself. Apparently someone was standing behind me waiting to talk to me, and Matthew generously gave up our planned one-on-one to let the other person talk to me. Matthew is such a mensch, and he has my respect for his constant outpouring of goodness and kindness and thoughtfulness. 2 years ago, Many of you were at the bar mitzvah of Brandon Baronoff, a young Jewish man who can't speak, can't read Torah, not sure whether he could wear a talit for any length of time, was going to become a bar mitzvah because it was his family's tradition, and he was 13. To watch the love and pride between Steve and Bonnie as Brandon sat wearing a talit, as he leaned over to his dad and planted an unsolicited kiss on his cheek, as he stood and held the scroll of the Torah underneath my hand as his uncle read, was inspirational. Brandon knew he was special that day and brought dozens of people together to celebrate him, his family, and our tradition of Torah. There were tears of joy puddling on the floor in every direction. But perhaps the biggest impact Brandon makes on us is through his little big brother, Justin. Justin was proud of his bar mitzvah brother, as was evident by his endless smiles and generous attaboys. This is the same little brother who has always helped with Brandon's personal grooming, eating, and communicating. Justin has responsibilities that some people never have, even as adults. The Baronoffs' lives and so many other families who have to deal 24/7 with special needs kids teach us profound lessons. They teach us the true nature of unconditional love, commitment, and loyalty. They teach us courage and grace and selflessness. They teach us to find joy in everything, and maybe most importantly, not to sweat the small stuff. Isaac, our forefather, teaches us too that we can find godliness in all kinds of people, and all kinds of people can inspire us. I believe one of the reasons we read this difficult story on the new year is to remind us of Isaac's plight, because ultimately Isaac's life reminds us of our special kids who draw us toward mitzvot and cause us to be thoughtful, who teach us not to judge, to slow down, to laugh, to cry, and even to see miracles. May we come away from this day realizing what true blessing is. May it make us stronger, knowing that those blessings are shared. Shana Tova u'metuka. From my family to yours, I wish you each a very happy and healthy new year. May it be God's will, and we can say together. It's my pleasure to invite Josh and Christy.